Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here, and welcome to episode 1 of my newest series on FM19. It's going to be with Atlanta United in the MLS, and it's a series that I've personally been wanting to do for quite some time. Obviously, Atlanta have had a lot of success in the previous MLS season. Well, technically, it would be this MLS season that we're currently playing, because we are in 2018 in this save, well, starting this save off. They won the MLS Cup. Their attendance was absolutely ridiculous in terms of, a new franchise in the MLS. Similar a little bit to Orlando City in their first season, where they were in a college stadium and they were just getting ridiculous attendances there as well. I've been following Atlanta over their success, and I've wanted to do a series with them for quite some time. Anyway, let's go into the first team squad. Actually, we're going to the transfers first of all. I only brought in one player. All of these transfers here were actually brought into the club before you start the game. The only player we brought in was Tommy Redding, a player I'm pretty familiar with. I did a Orlando City series a couple of years ago, and he started at Orlando, as you can see. And yeah, he was a decent prospect back then. He was about 17 or 18 years old. He left Orlando, went to New York, and I was able to pick him up on a free transfer as we started this. It's worth noting that we did actually sell a player. However, I'm guessing it comes in here as a trade. So yeah, as you can see, we did sell two players. The first of which was Ambrose, who is a left back. Basically, we've got a lot of left backs at the club, sort of inundated with them. And he was let go to Houston for a second round pick in the Super Draft at the end of this season, going into next season. And then we also got 130k general allocation money and 130k in targeted allocation money, which both of those allocations, one's for transfers, the other one's for stuff like lowering the salary cap, or your players' wages being lowered to a level where they fit under the salary cap. The MLS is very complicated. I know that, but hopefully you guys will stick around. You might learn a thing or two. Obviously, I've had a little bit of experience in the MLS, but I still learn a lot of things myself. We're going to do Super Draft episodes for the series as well, which I'm looking forward to. I haven't really done that in a previous series before, so that'll be something new. But yeah, the second player we let go was Michael Parkhurst, 33, or he was 33 years old when he left. He left to Toronto FC. He was basically one of our starting centre-backs for this series. We sold him because of his age. Basically, we gave them 110k and Michael Parkhurst, and in turn we got their 2020 first round pick in the Super Draft. So not the end of this season, the end of the second season, going into the third season, we have Toronto's first pick in the draft. So they're the trades, the only players that left the club, really. And of course, we only brought in the one free transfer. We'll go into the squad here because I want to show you the tactic as well. Now, if you guys are familiar with my channel, I have been doing a San Marino challenge as my other series. Very long-standing series, many episodes. This is by far the most successful tactic I've probably ever had in Football Manager. As you can see, basically a 4-1-4-1 with a deep-lying playmaker as the defensive midfielder. A couple of box-to-box midfielders in the centre of midfield. We've got attacking wingers, and then we got inverted wingbacks as well, which is a little bit odd, but at the same time, sort of understandable. And let's go through some of the first team squad. In terms of the starting 11 for today's game, this is pretty much what we're going to go with. We got Guzan as the goalkeeper. Many of you will be obviously quite familiar with him. had a pretty, successful career with Aston Villa, albeit, they got relegated, fairly recently, a couple of years ago. In the center of defense, we're going to go with Gonzalo Pires, 26-year-old Argentinian. Very solid center back for the MLS level. He's on a pretty high wage. 10K, I think, is the maximum you can give a senior player without putting them on a designated contract, which you can offer any wage. You can only have 2 designated players with a possibility of a third one, which you have to pay using, I think, general or maybe targeted allocation. It's one of the 2 allocation funds. I forget which one's which, but you have to essentially pay to have a third designated player for, each season. So you have to pay a certain fee each season. The other player you might be familiar with, Florentin Pogba, is Paul Pogba's brother in real life. Currently, plays for United. Potentially could be moving to Real Madrid, as it's heavily linked at the moment. But yeah, he's his brother. Plays for Guinea instead of France. He's got 21 caps, 27 years old. He's a pretty decent player. He signed from a Turkish club. He's going to be a centre-back, but as I mentioned, we had a lot of left-backs. So yeah, we're going to start him at centre-back. I like having a left-footed left centre-back. In the left-back position, we've got Hernandez, a 20-year-old Venezuelan. Pretty solid left-back, He's not too bad, but he's also not great. Could be an interesting prospect. We also have this guy on the bench, Bello. Now, this guy's probably going to be a starting right-back for the American national team, the US national team. He's very good, and he's only 16. As you can see, improving a lot. 2-star current ability, 3.5-star potential. Homegrown player as well, which is good to see. So those 2 players will fight for the left-back position. And then, of course, we also have Pogba, who can play there as well. At right-back, we're going to go with Escobar. He can also play centre-back as well, which is, it's obviously a positive to have. But yeah, he's just an all-round pretty solid player in terms of a right-back in the MLS. The backup right-back, we don't really have one, to be honest. Gressel can kind of play there, although he's more of a right-winger. Actually, to be honest, I actually see him more as a centre mid, as a box-to-box. He's a 24-year-old German. However, he did get drafted into the Super Draft, and he does actually have American second nationality now. He picks that up at the start of the save. In terms of, we're a little bit light at right back. Laurentowicz is going to be our defensive midfielder. Can play centre back, centre mid, and obviously a defensive midfielder as well. Very old, 34. Stats are starting to decline, lacking a little bit of pace, but I think for this first season, he's going to be good enough, and I think we'll try and replace him. Possibly in the Super Draft, we'll look for some defensive midfielders. On the bench, we also have Romario, another Argentinian. The thing with Atlanta is they have a very strong South American, I would say, scouting network. They have just a lot of really solid South American players. Some that they've paid a lot of money for. Obviously, a lot of young South American players aren't really... Well, it wasn't really a common thing before Atlanta United. Obviously, European clubs or European players were more... I would say they're more preferenced. They were more preferenced, although I think a lot of MLS clubs are starting to wake up to the fact of how successful they can actually be. Anyway, yeah, so we've got Romario. We've also got Kratz, who is a 31-year-old German. Very solid left-footed centre midfielder. Then we also have Darlington Nagbe, 27-year-old American, 25 caps for the national team there. Realistically, he can play on both sides of the wing, but I think centre mid's by far going to be his best position. It's more of an attacking box-to-box midfielder, doesn't really have the tackling required, but I think he should hopefully chip in with a lot of goals. It's got decent pace there as well. Now, in terms of wingers, we've got a pretty decent amount of wingers. Martinez was the big signing. He is a designated player, £13.5 million. I think I might actually change the value to dollars instead of pounds. Let me know if that's something you would like to see. I do prefer to play in pounds, but it's an American save, MLS save. I would be, very much open to playing in dollars. So drop a comment in the comment section down below if you would like to see dollars instead of pounds. Anyway, Martinez, very good. Unfortunately, we have to train him a little bit as a left winger. It's more of an attacking winger and an inside forward on the right. But he's going to be dangerous, very dangerous. Quality player. In terms of other left wingers, we've got Deon Pereira, 18-year-old Englishman. Bought him from Watford. Looks pretty good, good pace, and some decent crossing, dribbling, and first touch. And the other left winger we have, who can also play left back, is Brek Shea, 28-year-old American, 34 caps for the national team with 4 goals. A lot of you will probably be pretty familiar with him. He played for Stoke a few seasons ago, as you can see there. Didn't really play too much, but he was at Stoke. And then he's been to Orlando. I think he was actually at Orlando when I did my previous MLS save with them. I also actually did an MLS save with Vancouver as well. And I think I had him in the same team. So Brek Shea, I'm very familiar with him. He's a very good player to have as a rotation backup sort of player. Can play all down the left-hand side. And pretty well down the left-hand side as well. On the right-hand side, we got this guy, Barco, 18-year-old Argentinian. Unfortunately, he cannot really play right wing. I don't play with the advanced wingers. I prefer to have them a little bit deeper. But I'm sure he'll, it won't take him too long, especially if he's playing quite a few games. He's another designated player. I think he's a young designated player, which you can obviously have one of. In terms of the backup right wingers, we've got this guy, Carleton, 17-year-old American. Again, he also needs to learn how to play there. But he's got good pace, good dribbling, and pretty good passing and technique as well, which I'm happy to see. And, like I said, Gressel can also play there. He's got really good crossing, good passing, and technique as well. So, we have a pretty versatile team, which I'm happy with. In terms of the other players we have in the team, we've got this guy Vasquez, just a youth prospect striker. We also have this guy Goslin, who is a youth prospect central midfielder. In terms of our backup goalkeeper, we have this guy Alec Can, just recently signed as well. Was previously at United and then went out to Charleston before being re-signed. And he's also pretty good. Probably will pick up the reins after Guzan retires due to his age. Although hopefully we should get another 2 or 3 seasons out of Guzan. That'd be pretty sweet. So that's the first team and the starting lineup for today's game. So in terms of preseason, we've done really well. Like I said, this tactic is a very solid and strong tactic. In terms of the team, we are actually expected to win the MLS, as you can see here. Minimum expectation is to win the MLS. We're also expected to win the Supporters' Shield. Now, the MLS is obviously the final trophy after a playoff system. The Supporters' Shield is the overall league table between the two conferences. Now, of course, you have the Eastern and Western conferences. They both go into the Supporters' Shield, which is, what you would consider a normal league table. The US Cup, they don't really care. I'm not really too sure what the summed points is. I'm not really too sure, but they want us to win that as well, whatever that is. I'm guessing that's got something to do with the Supporters' Shield. I'm assuming it's probably the same thing. Like I said, MLS, very complicated, but you do learn these things, so hopefully you guys will stick around. Anyway, today's game is going to be against Houston. Not really expecting too much. We're away from home. Obviously, we're going to go for the win no matter what. Another player I actually forgot to mention the strikers. But up front, Today we're going to go with Villalba, purely for the fact that both of our strikers are currently injured. He can play up front pretty well. He's also a right winger, which is, again, we have a lot of good wingers, a lot of good right and left wingers. 23-year-old Paraguayan, again, more of the South American flair in the Atlanta team. In terms of the strikers, you might be familiar with, if you've heard of Atlanta United before, with this guy, Joseph Martinez, or Joseph, not really too sure how you'd pronounce it, but the 24-year-old Venezuelan he was banging goals in for fun. Previously been at some decent clubs, Torino, Young Boys in Switzerland, and then of course came through, I assume he came through Venezuelan teams as well. But yeah, he's an absolute beast, and he is our final designated player. The other player we have is this guy, Romario Williams, a 23-year-old Jamaican striker. Going to be the backup, really good pace, decent finishing. Essentially what you need in a backup striker. But yeah, like I said, they're both out injured today. Villalba, the right winger, can play up front, like I said, and he's going to do just that today. A couple of players are lacking a bit of match fitness as well, which is worrying, but again, not really much I can do, seeing as we are starting the season here today. Just going to tell the boys that I expect a win, because, we're expected to win the whole thing, so, I think it's pretty understandable for me to want that from our players. Like I said, our squad, I think, is probably the strongest in the league. Obviously, other teams like LAFC, LA Galaxy, good squads, very good squads, especially LAFC with Carlos Vela. He's a very dangerous player. We've almost conceded a goal there. That was a pretty good clearance, taking the shot away from the Houston player. Also, worth noting, of course, Seattle, Portland, Toronto, all very, very strong teams. And, they're going to be up there, hopefully, keeping things entertaining towards the end of the season. Anyway, we're bringing the ball forward here. Nagbe out wide to Laurentowicz. Nagbe again. Shoots. It's a pretty good save there by their goalkeeper. Martinez with a corner. Plays short to Nagbe, who does get fouled, and we should have a free kick in a pretty good position. And somehow it's gone in the back of the net. Goal's given to Laurentowicz, but it kind of looked like a bit of an own goal, if I'm being honest there. Anyway, good stuff. We're 1-0 up. Happy days in terms of the start. One thing I do want to keep a pretty strong focus on is yellow cards. This tactic is a pretty physical tactic. All of your players are essentially told to get stuck in to their tackles, tackle harder. As Escobar could have put us 2-0 up there. But yeah, we need to ease the players who do pick up yellow cards, ease them off. Otherwise, they will more than likely pick up a second yellow. Nagbe also should have done better there, cutting in from the left-hand side. Can't be too critical of the players. It's only the first game of our season. Like I said, we had a pretty good preseason, won all of our games. We even had a 10-0 victory in there over an MLS second team. But yeah, we go into the break 1-0 up. I'm happy with that. Tell the boys to get straight back out there and hopefully put in a pretty good second half performance here. If you look at Houston's ratings, they're not too good. There are a lot of 6.4s, 6.5s as we hit the post there off of a corner. A little bit disappointing, but nothing you can really do. Kratz on the edge of the box. Shoots it just wide. But we are looking pretty good. We're looking dangerous. We're going to make a sub here. Nagbe's really not playing well, so we'll bring Remedi on. And I think we'll bring Bello on for Hernandez, who currently is on a 6.2, which is a dreadful rating. And they've hit the crossbar from a free kick. Lucky not to be level. Very lucky. Barco manages to steal the ball away. On a bit of a counter-attack, Villalba. Martinez to the back post. Barco, 2-0. Great assist there from Martinez to spot him out at the back post. And the 18-year-old Argentinian gives us our second goal of the game. And apparently we've just moved up into first position in our conference, which is, pretty good to see. I'm pretty happy with that. Although Houston are in behind. Pena to the back post, and they've got 1 goal back. Ramel Quioto. There's still 20 minutes left. I don't want our boys to switch off here. That'd be pretty... Well, it'd be soul-crushing to throw away a 2-0 lead. Especially in our first game. Strong tackle there. I think that was Laurentowicz. Anyway, Martinez, the pacey winger. Good ball movement. Remedi, 3-1. Game over. Villalba with the assist. And I think that should be enough to get us over the line in our first game of the season. First game of the series as well. Always good to start off with a win. And I think that, deserves a like, guys. If you could drop a like on the video, it'd be much appreciated. And as well, if you are interested in following the save, following the series along, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. Hit the notification bell. That should hopefully keep you up to date with these episodes coming out in the future. Also, feel free to check out the San Marino Challenge. It is going to be running alongside this Atlanta United series. And obviously, from me to you, take it easy. And I'll see you next time, guys. Goodbye.